Hello everybody and welcome back to Pravus Gaming and more oxygen not included in the disastrous ant farm. Which I don't think I ever really explained why I named it that, but I mean, just look at it. Doesn't it kind of look like we're digging our way through a big honkin' ant farm? I mean, I think so, but I don't know, maybe I'm just crazy. Anyway, so we went ahead and established some of the basic necessities we need. We have an outhouse, we do have some cots, and we are setting up some research. We do need to generate a bit of power, and we're going to have Theo come running down on the hamster wheel for a while and charge up this battery. Now, one thing about the batteries, though, is that they do lose charge over time on their own, even if you don't have anything hooked up to them. So just be aware that you're always going to need to have somebody, probably every day, charging up the batteries just to make sure that everything is working the way it's supposed to. And another thing to consider, maybe not in the early game, but certainly in the late game, is the temperature of any sort of electronics you are using. We can see here that a tiny battery is a very hot thing, and as a result, it's going to heat up the air around it, and over time, that will heat up this entire area. Now, that becomes very important for, one, just temperature management as far as overheating your duplicates, but also making sure that you don't destroy your farms by overheating the plants and stuff like that. It becomes very, very important, so just be aware of that, and I think you will be fine, at least for now. Now, for research, I'm going to go ahead and open up the research tree. This is all the research currently available in the game. I do imagine there is going to be a lot more added in the future. But to start things off, I do like to go for farming tech. This unlocks the algae terrarium, which is a living algae plant that we put together that breathes in the carbon dioxide and exhales just regular oxygen. So it's kind of like having a carbon dioxide filtration system pretty early on. It's not very efficient and it uses up a lot of water, but in the early game, it is pretty useful. We're also going to have compost, which will break down contaminated dirt, namely our poop from the outhouse, into fertilizer, and the planter box, which will allow us to produce food and or medicine. Now, at this point in the game, I have not found medicine to be incredibly important, so I usually use those just for food sources. Now, for research station recipes here, we're going to click on the novice research, and we're going to just go ahead and set it to continuously fabricate. Abigail should work on that whenever we have a research project selected. And what they're going to do is they're going to collect up some dirt, which is the resource that we need, and they're just going to siphon through the dirt and research it, and that's how we discover farming. And I don't know. There is also an intermediate research station we'll use eventually that uses water. I don't know. Pretty useful stuff. I do think that we need some more storage areas because it seems to me that these people have nothing to do. So let's go ahead and build a couple more of those. And in their spare time, they'll go sweeping up the sandstone and everything else and just deposit it. Just kind of beautify up the area, make sure we have all of our resources in one place. That's how I like to do it. We can also go ahead and tell them to harvest up these muck roots. They are a one-time food source. There's really no advantage to just kind of leaving them there. And a few extra 1,000 kilocalories is not a bad thing, as far as I am concerned. Your duplicates do not need to drink water in this game, so don't worry about accessing the water source too early on. They will be just fine as they are. But I do think that I want to kind of dig up to these areas, access some water and stuff like that eventually. Maybe not right now, but relatively soon. What else do I need right now? Well, we could go ahead and build up an algae deoxidizer right now, if we want to generate some more oxygen. Now, right now, I feel pretty good about the amount of oxygen we have. The place is very breathable right now. If anything, we're just kind of building up a little carbon dioxide, which the algae terrarium will help me to filter out later. Excuse me. But for now, not a high priority, I think. We also are not really desperate to build the microbe musher right now, which is how we are going to make our early game food. We still have 25,000 kilocalories, plus a few more muck roots to harvest and stuff. It's not a high priority. I think we'll end up being just fine. For now, let's focus on building up the infrastructure of our base and researching whenever we can. We also have access to the medical cot, which we don't need, but if anyone gets wounded, that's certainly an option for us. For furniture, we could build a massage table, which will reduce stress, but so far everyone seems to be doing just fine. The floor lamp will provide light, which improves decor of the room. And as far as regular decor, you can see here we can build a flower vase, which will allow us to plant some flowers and just make the place look pretty. There's also a tasteful memorial in the event that somebody dies, but hopefully we don't have to deal with that anytime soon. Right now, not a whole lot that we need beyond just simple research and just gathering up whatever materials we can. So I'm going to go ahead and tell people to just keep digging for a little while. I'm going to place some tiles kind of like this, and again, just building another floor to this weird kind of building that I'm constructing along over here. And we might actually just go ahead and build a couple ladders down here so that people are able to access the water if that's something that they are interested in. We probably should go ahead and tell people to sweep up this muck root as well. Make sure we deliver this food. And otherwise, yeah, so far looking pretty good. I like having a source of metal early on in the game. That is very, very useful. But right now, we can see here that Abigail is just using up some dirt, doing some research. As she produces more and more of these novice research modules and stuff like that, we'll make some progress toward our research. You can see here, we're now 4 out of 20. So she has to do that for a while. It does take quite a bit of dirt, but given time, she will research that farming tech, and I will plant some algae terrariums down here toward the bottom, where there's going to be a lot of carbon dioxide congregating. At least I would think it will. Actually, most of it's going to come down here toward the water, which actually is not optimal for me because there's no really good place for me to put algae terrariums down here. Maybe we don't want to do that. It's a thought. I'm not too sure. You can see here that as we are digging this out, though, there is no oxygen in this area. So wherever we're digging out this stuff, carbon dioxide is just kind of filling up the gas space right here. And as a result, they can't necessarily breathe. So we need the oxygen to kind of flow its way down here. Otherwise, every few seconds, they have to come up for air. And you can see poor Jack here is just like really panting for breath. He's like, oh gosh, that was so traumatizing. You don't know what it's like to be slowly suffocating as you dig out the sandstone. It's just terrible. Yeah, I can't imagine, man, but you're going to be fine, I promise you. Nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about at all. We also can go ahead and dig this area out if we want to. And that will access a whole new source of oxygen and a whole new source of water. I am going to go ahead and cancel some of this stuff at least. We'll do that for now, just to kind of leave this area blank. And I hear the sound of a new duplicant available to us. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. We're going to go ahead and do that, I think. Let's see. Printing pod. Choose a new duplicant. So, we have Blanche, Sybil, and Elvis available to us right now. Elvis, however, is dimensionally inept. He is not able to build anything. He is an early bird, though, so in the early stages of the day, he is very good at what he does. A loud sleeper, I don't really like this one. This is a trait where basically as they sleep, they make noise and wake everyone else around them up. You kind of need to isolate them in their own separate room before you have any more problems. Blanche doesn't really have any particular use to me. We could make good use out of Elvis, I guess. He's not bad. He's pretty creative. We might actually be able to use him for some art. He just won't be able to build anything. But otherwise, yeah, he's okay. He's not too bad. Now, one mistake a lot of people will do in a game like this is they're going to start printing off a new person every opportunity they get. But I find that slow, consistent growth is the best strategy for Oxygen Not Included. If you overexpand and have too many duplicates, you're going to consume way more resources than you have the time to produce, and eventually it's gonna cause a heck of a lot of problems. So I am, however, going to go to the Jobs menu, and I'm going to switch things up so that Theo is not allowed to do art anymore. Only Elvis will be allowed. If we ever do artwork, which we may not, but if we do, he's going to be our guy. He's the most naturally talented and inspired. Right? I think so. How are we looking as far as our research? 16 out of 20 so far, so pretty soon we will be able to build these algae terrariums. And you can see we have so much carbon dioxide building up down here. That's great. These algae terrariums are going to have plenty of resources to work with and convert it into breathable oxygen. Which, by the way, Elvis and Jack are having a particularly hard time with that right now. But I want to make sure that I control where the carbon dioxide is going to be settling. Right? If I built this area up in here and I did let the ladder go all the way down, then what's going to happen is all the carbon dioxide is going to flow down here, where I don't have any tiles, where I don't have any algae terrariums. So instead, I'm going to kind of close this area off. We actually don't need to do this right now either. That way I can control where the carbon dioxide is going to go. Did we finish off the research? I do believe that we did. Yes, indeed. Okay, wonderful. That's one of the advantages of having a pretty good researcher early in the game, is you get through it pretty quickly. So next I like to go for interior decor, which unlocks blank canvas, ceiling lamps, mess tables, and sculpting block. Basically all things that will reduce stress. And again, maybe that one's not the highest priority, but right now we're not in a position where I need to start pumping any liquids or gases, so we might as well make use of that. Get some ceiling fans, and also, they work very well with the algae terrariums themselves. The algae terrariums are plants. They do use photosynthesis. Oh, we don't have enough cots. Oh, no! I messed up here. Hang on. Let's go ahead and place another one here. Of course, in the meantime, they're just going to have to sleep for a while. Sorry, Elvis! But, I think it'll be okay. It's just one terrible night. We didn't think about you. We didn't know you were coming. We didn't prepare a bed. I'm so sorry. But anyway, as I was saying, yeah, algae terrariums, they do use photosynthesis, and if you have direct light shining on them, they do work a little bit more efficiently than they did before. But I really would not recommend getting too attached to your algae terrariums. I do find that they consume way too much water to be a long-term solution to your game. So be prepared to move on to bigger and better things later. But at least for the early game, they are certainly useful. In fact, we can go ahead and place a couple of those now. So for example, if I place an algae terrarium 1, 2, and 3, in fact, let's go ahead and do 4. 4 algae terrariums, they're going to convert all this carbon dioxide up very rapidly and turn it into something useful. Now, we do need to have some access to water for this to work, right? So I'm going to need to go ahead and dig all this area out, and yes, place some ladders that will go down to water so that our duplicants are able to gather some up and deliver it to the algae terrariums, water the plants. You know how that works. Pretty basic stuff. And I am actually going to go to the prioritization stuff and make sure that they understand that this is a higher priority. Just make it all level 6. They're going to go ahead and mine this all out, build the ladders. Of course, first I need to get some food, so I'll let them do that. But eventually, dig this area out, and I'll be feeling pretty good. Now, let's see. We did set this so Abigail should start doing some... did I name her Abigail? Yes, I did. Abigail should be doing some pretty good work eventually. But right now, she's mining instead of researching because researching is considered a lower priority than everything else over here. So yeah, again, just be aware, that's how the prioritization system works. The best thing to do, honestly, is not to rely on prioritizing and just don't overwhelm your characters with tasks. But, I mean, if you ever do, and you find you're in an emergency situation, then that is a pretty good way to deal with things. So, we'll be fine. Alright, now all of the oxygen in this area is actually starting to seep up over here, so that probably is going to start messing up some of my carbon dioxide control. I'm actually going to go ahead and build some tiles along over here to try and kind of box it in just a slight bit into here, remembering that carbon dioxide sinks more than anything else. And I am going to prioritize that up a little bit so I build it quickly. Now, duplicants are able to climb over tiles as tall as they am, so 2 tiles up, they can climb up and they'll be fine. These guys are doing great. See, there we go. And all I'm trying to do is just box in the carbon dioxide ever so slightly more than I was before, so that my algae terrariums here, which are already built, will be able to convert things into oxygen. So if I go to the oxygen overlay right now, you're going to see that they're converting it. They'll gradually start turning into more and more oxygen. The oxygen will float up and make sure that the rest of my base is in very good shape. No problems whatsoever. Feeling pretty good, man. Feeling pretty good. Abigail, go do your thing. Lady, make some delicious, delicious research out of your dirt. And how are we doing as far as the outhouse? The outhouse is actually getting kind of close to full. Very soon they're going to have to empty it out. And when they do, they're going to have to deliver some contaminated dirt to a storage tank. And that's actually going to be releasing contaminated oxygen into the air. So be prepared that that can open you up to some diseases. I think we're going to be just fine. But again, you just need to be prepared for it, whatever does come. But yeah, now we have some pretty good filtration. We've dealt with our carbon dioxide. I think we're going to be just fine. I am going to place one more. And what we're doing is we're actually skipping the algae deoxidizer entirely. Partly because I expect this area is already at high pressure, so it's not going to do a lot of good for me anyway. All I need to do is take the air that already exists and just filter it into something breathable. I don't need to create new oxygen, at least not right now. So that's the only reason I'm not worrying about it too much. This does take a bit of algae, and it does use up water every day. So again, you want to make sure you have several different water sources working for you. Otherwise, you could very quickly run out, and that would make you very sad. Alright, how are we doing as far as our research right now? 17 out of 20, so pretty soon we will unlock interior decor. I'm going to go ahead and start digging out some more areas, kind of like this. We'll place some more tiles, sort of like this. There we go. And I'm going to be placing a mess hall and a kitchen kind of in this general vicinity. Microbe musher and all sorts of stuff. We still have 22,000 kilocalories. Plenty of food for people to eat for now, but I do want to make sure we get that before I forget. Alright, that research is now done. Excellent. So we have a few new options here. For food, we have these planter boxes, which are very useful. We do have some compost creator, which is good for making fertilizer. And then lastly, we have blank canvases, sculpting blocks, and ceiling lamps. Now I'm going to place a ceiling lamp right here. And the idea of the ceiling lamp is that it's going to be providing light to the algae terrariums, which will increase their efficiency, which ultimately will provide more oxygen value for all the water that we are using to water these plants. Also, we do need to make sure that we wire it up to the electricity through the tile, kind of like so. There we go. Pretty good if you ask me. Things are looking nice. Let's say sweep up those muck roots, make sure you deliver that, and everybody needs to take a little napsy. So I guess we will wait until the end of that day. Oh, look, we have a little plant that is ready for harvest up here. This here is mealwood, and they describe it as a plant that produces an edible grain that is suspiciously capable of movement, which is to say that for some reason grubs grow on it and you can eat them. They are basically lice. and you can eat those things up. This is primarily what we will be growing in our farms, lots of meal wood. So, this stuff's pretty useful. It doesn't require any water, it just requires time and a good amount of oxygen in the air. Good air pressure is what I mean to say. So, as long as we deal with that, we should be fine. Now, for our research, what else do we want? Well, could go for the gas piping or the liquid pumping. I don't think this is incredibly important for us right now. Instead, I'd rather go for the power regulation so that we are able to get some bigger and better, more efficient batteries. So that's what I'm going to go for, at least for now. And then, yeah, just kind of keep building out the base. See how we feel here. Let's make sure we place down some of the mess hall, or the mess tables. And it's just one table with a seat. That's all that takes for them to eat at it. They just eat at it, and it takes up less stress, basically. Having a nice place to eat your food. We'll put 4 kind of next to each other, and that's where they're going to eat. We also need to place down the microbe musher right here. Well, maybe we'll place it a little bit further away. Let's dig a little bit more. There you go, something kind of like this. Hey, good, we do have some mealwood seeds. Excellent. So that does tell me we can start working on our farms pretty soon, which I do like. What else is going on here? What am I hearing? There's some noises going on here. I'm not sure what it is, but all right. Yep, see, they're going to go eat at the table, and that just reduces the amount of stress when they eat. You know, anything to kind of improve their lot in life. Elvis, you do not need to be doing any research right now. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. You're terrible at learning. Abigail, however, is now learning level 7. And you're going to find that all of your duplicants are able to gain experience for the jobs that they pursue the most frequently and rank up a few times. But as they rank up, I believe that it does increase their decor expectations as well. So just be aware that there is that trade-off. Let's go ahead and go to the prioritization here. And I'm going to say that research is a level 6 task. It's always slightly more important than everything else. So Abigail should always be working on this unless I specifically prioritize something a little bit more important. So yeah, that way we make sure that we always are going through with our research. Let's go to the tiles. I'm going to go ahead and expand this out a little bit. We do need to be placing some farms. And what I might do actually is just go ahead and place the farming kind of in this general area. We'll place a few meal wood. One of the cool things about farming is it actually is considered very beautiful. People like to see plants growing. It makes them happy, increases the decor. So, if we use that appropriately and place it kind of in some central areas, we might reduce the stress of our duplicants as they walk around. Not by a lot, but just a little tiny bit, right? It can't hurt. It's not so bad. Wait, let's go ahead and place that microbe musher. I did say I wanted to do that. Food, microbes, place it, let's just place it right here for now. There we go. And we need to wire this thing up. Electrical wire. Kind of like this. Again, letting it go inside of the tiles so that it doesn't reduce our decor any more than it has to. Just thinking, you know, kind of future-proofing our base to make sure that we are not stressing our people out for no good reason. Now, microbe musher. Well, once this thing is built, I'll show you, but it's kind of gross, honestly, what these poor duplicants have to eat. I mean, they're in a living hell right now. Let's not sugarcoat it any more than we have to. Microbe musher. We have mush bars. Mush bars is an edible, putrefied mud slop, preferable to starvation, but only just barely. It uses dirt and water and turns it into food. We are literally mushing together mud and saying, hey, have fun, eat your dinner. But I don't wanna. Eat your mud. But this is disgusting. I don't care if you have diarrhea, eat it. Yeah, mush bars are disgusting. Fortunately, we're not going to have our guys relying on that for too long, because the second recipe available is lice loaf, and that uses up some of the meal lice that grows on mealwood and converts it into an edible kind of grub bar, which is disgusting, but, you know, it's dense, it's delicious, it provides a lot of food, and it uses up less water than the mush bar does, and I find that water efficiency is very important in this game, so... yeah, just one more thing that we'll be able to do. It'll be fun. And the micro busher is now ready to go. No fabrications are currently queued. I generally do not tell people to continuously fabricate mush bars because as long as they have access to dirt and water, they'll just make unlimited food. I don't really want that. Typically in the morning, what I'll do is I'll fabricate however many food I have for each people. So 4 in this case. So after cycle 5 ends, I'll come over here and I'll queue up 4. And that way, in the next day, you know, they'll consume 4 food, they'll produce 4 food, we'll be in fine shape. That said, I still have 19,000 kilocalories, so not a high priority, we'll pay attention to it, but otherwise, I'm in no particular rush. How is our oxygen looking right now? Pretty good. You can see around the algae terrariums that they are converting whatever carbon dioxide gets to them into some nice usable oxygen. Unfortunately, a lot of the carbon dioxide is, despite my best efforts, still sinking around this water pool here, so... they're not going to be the most effective algae terrariums I've ever used. In fact, we may not need this many, but At least I think at this point in the game, considering how much water we started off with, we'll be okay. But it's not very efficient. As time goes on, we're going to want to get rid of this and replace it with something a little bit more useful. But anyway, yeah. Let's see. If we can finish off Cycle 5, we'll call this video quits here pretty soon. Make sure everyone gets their rations. What else should we do as far as expanding? I did say that I wanted to get some farming going, yes? So let's go ahead and do that now. Let's go to food. Let's go ahead and place down some planter boxes. They only take up 1x3 space, kind of like so. So I'm going to place, let's see, just 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to place 5 for the time being. And then I will place a ceiling lamp. I actually do not know if light helps with planters. They might, maybe not now, they might in the future. I'm not too sure, but I've always kind of built them because why the heck not? But that actually would be a good question. I probably should look that up sometime and see if light does help with these particular plants. It doesn't seem like mealwood needs light or water or pretty much anything. But heck, I don't know. It's not going to hurt anything. In the meantime, it increases the decor of the area by providing light. So, mealwood seed is something we're going to be planting in all of these places. The other alternative is a blossom seed, which is kind of a thistle. I don't see any on the map right now, so we definitely haven't found any. Yeah, no, I do think that these things produce food, but supposedly there is going to be another plant available at some point that will produce medicine. I have not found it yet, so if it does exist, I haven't found it. But what we want is just mealwood. Mealwood is a pretty hardy material, pretty hardy food source, and pretty consistent, honestly. It provides quite a bit of food, so we will be doing just fine. Lots of carbon dioxide building up over here as we dig these areas out. And actually is something else you do need to be aware of in this game. As you dig places out and you're increasing the volume that your oxygen has to fill up, you're going to find that you're kind of thinning out the air, reducing your atmospheric pressure, and it's going to be a little bit harder to breathe as time goes on. So just be careful you don't overexpand and just start mining more than you have to. We have kind of a wide open space right now, far wider than I usually would. But I think we're going to be okay, at least for the time being. It is something that I've seen some people struggle with in the past, though. Alright, I'm going to end this video here, but thank you all very much for watching. I do hope that you enjoyed and are still looking forward to more of the series. Be sure to let me know in the comment section if you are. Hit that like button if you did enjoy the video, subscribe if you are new, and I, as always, will see you guys next time.